So I always talk about, how our parents shape the choices that we make, whether it's partners, life experiences, yada yada. Okay. But I don't think that we talk enough about how lack and a lack mentality will also keep you in those same places. So I used to work at this barber shop, and the man was the barber shop itself. The experience wasn't the worst, but the owner there was a demon. Okay, a demon. I was so emotionally and verbally abused by that man. Like, there were certain days where he was so mean to me that, like, he could make me cry at work. And I realize now that whatever issues he was having at home, he would bring those to work. He was very hot and cold with me. Like, some days he'd be real nice to me. Some days he would be like real evil, real like conniving, real devilish towards me. He got a lot of joy out of mistreating me. Um, and I think another part of it too, because he does have a mother wound. The man's mom used to be a crackhead, all kind of stuff. But I'll never forget one day I was at work, and he said something to me like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to up your booth rent because I didn't realize you had as many clients as you had." Like, pretty much clocking what I was making. And I also remember at another time where he had mentioned like, "Oh, we make pretty much the same. You just don't have to do as many clients as I have to do to make the same amount of money," which I always thought was weird, right? Because I never told this man how much I made. So I often, when I'm working through things with myself, one of the fears that I used to have was staying too long. Whether it was at a job, whether it was in a relationship or a friendship, I used to always say, even when I talk about my last relationship, I used to always say, like, my fear is that I would get into another relationship and I would stay too long. And I've been working through those things. Like, now, baby, boundaries, I be throwing boundaries out like Pokeballs, okay? I ain't gonna stay nowhere too long no more. But I realized that I stayed at that location and I put up with what I put up with because I was too afraid to move. And for a number of reasons. One, when I was working there, I did not have papers, so I was not licensed, and he allowed me to work there. Two, I lived far. I lived about an hour away from the barbershop, and so in my mind, it wasn't the easiest to just find another shop to work in. Three, those of us that are products of abuse, you all know that even when we know a situation is not healthy for us, it's familiar. And so, even when I knew that this was no longer a safe environment for me to be in, um, I had this unhealthy comfort there because it was what I was used to. And I say that to say, I left that barbershop. Eventually, what happened was when I started, because I met my kid's dad there, when I started dating him, I think bro knew that all of like the weird stuff that he used to do to me, he couldn't do anymore. So he picked this fight one day pretty much and told me I had to leave. But I will never forget, um, I left that shop. I think I went and like, I think rented a room is what happened. I rented a room one day and I worked there. And then the next day I ended up having a new shop. My sister had somebody that she knew. And I literally, the crazy thing was working in this shop, I literally met the female version of the barbershop owner that I had just left. And I remember in my frustration going, "God, there's a reason why you're having me going through this again. Like, why am I going through this twice? Like, what the hell is going on? Is it me?" I'm literally walking around this lady's shop asking myself this. And shit hits the fan. And in that moment is when I realized, number one, I don't need to stay anywhere where I'm uncomfortable. And two, baby, I'm a tree. I'm not a tree. I can move, right? But to leave at the first sign. There were so many instances, even with that woman. Now, it didn't take me 3 years to leave that woman's shop. It only took me a couple of months. But I started to realize that, like, people, the minute that somebody shows you something that makes you uncomfortable, or I always say the minute you feel it in your body, move. Move. This is LA. There's 1,000,001 shops. Baby, I work from home and I'm so comfortable here. But the minute that something doesn't feel right in my body, move. Because a lot of the time, God is telling you this is not for you and I have more for you. And you're putting yourself in these positions, and this comes from my trauma. You're putting yourself in these positions where you have to make yourself smaller just to make these people happy. You're not supposed to be there. You're not. And a lot of times we be so afraid of the what ifs. Baby, that comes from lack. Now my mustard seed stays in my pocket. I don't care what's going on. I'm not staying anywhere that is unhealthy for me because I'm afraid to move.